If you're looking for best practices for your bank or credit union, join us while we talk all things sales, marketing, and strategy for financial institutions. Let's make it happen with FiGrow Solutions.
Hi there, I'm Meredith Olmstead, CEO and founder of FiGrow Solutions. We are a digital marketing and sales consulting agency. We work exclusively with credit unions and community banks. I am here with Nida Ajaz. She is our Senior VP of Marketing, and we were just having a really interesting conversation about whether or not blogging in the age of AI is dead, or whether or not blogging is dead in the age of AI, however you want to say it. So say hi, Nida.
Hi, everyone.
I said, you know what, let's hit record on this. I think this is a really good topic to share with our readers and with our viewers, especially because we have definitely seen over the course of the last 6 months to a year, as AI has really started to gain traction in marketing, we've seen a resurgence of social media for sure. So we saw kind of social media was kind of, dipping out in the marketing realm, especially around, sometimes around dry topics like banks and credit unions and things. But it's definitely coming back because of AI, because people want to see real people. They want to know if somebody is human, if something is authentic, they want to see the real people behind a brand again. And so they're finding that in social media. So Netta was what you're talking about. Well, I wonder if we're going to have a similar kind of impact, or if blogging is also going to be, out because AI is going to be writing all the content now. So
it's
a very good question.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing because I think over time I've seen clients as well, as we're doing various services and we do content for them. And blogging has become more of like, okay, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Right.
Well,
like an afterthought.
recently, yeah, like an afterthought. But recently, I was just watching a session from HubSpot, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this title back up because I think it is a great conversation for you to have in your financial institution, like to our audience. They mentioned that they looked at 14 million citations of AI when AI answers the questions. There's citations, basically what they reference, they link it
Right.
back to a website.
Right.
And that link of citations from AI, 62% of them were blogs.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's a huge amount. Like everyone's talking about how do we get AI to rank us or, the
Or to
AI
talk about your
visibility
products
study.
or services.
Yeah.
Yes. To reference your website. Yeah. So if over, a vast majority, 60%, more than 60% are coming from blog pages, then for sure, you definitely need a blog and you need to be talking about your products and services and what you do on that blog for sure. Okay. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, and the other thing to keep in mind, yes, maybe the traffic, the direct traffic to your blogs it might not be going up, but these LLMs on the back end use it for learning
Right.
about your brand through those. So you
Right.
want to structure it in a way that it's scannable, it has, like data, more empowering data on it. But I think when we go through some of these examples, because what I was thinking is how are we using this or implementing this information for our clients? Like, how can we restructure our blog strategy to kind of apply to this new change of blogging?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not so much about trying to drive increased blog traffic necessarily for impressions, clicks, that kind of thing, but you really need to make sure that your blog is optimized to be crawled by AI bots and language learning models. So it's got to be, organized in lists. It's got to be organized to be, you have a problem and there's a solution, like those kinds of things. So you want a really structured content on your blog. And then you're not really so much worried about the actual amount of traffic, but just that the content there is accurate. So explain the story that you told me about the incorrect information they were talking about on the HubSpot pricing.
Oh yeah, so
in the
they had
example.
mentioned it was a quick change that they did. So they noticed that AI was pulling up wrong, like old pricing information for HubSpot whenever someone asks, "Hey, how much this costs or that costs?" into the ChatGPT or other LLMs, and basically they did one quick change of writing a couple of blogs on the new pricing, and almost immediately, that within a day, I think they mentioned in the study that they saw change of the highest, the new pricing blogs ranking for citations. So really, LLM at
In
this
those
point,
chat results.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're thinking now they're not looking at blog traffic at this point. They're not looking at backlinks, right? Like LLM really now is looking at the most updated
Blogs.
information.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's so interesting. They were mentioning Google when they looked at the study, it was ranking around 2.5, 3 year old blogs. But in AI, it's almost 1.5 year old blogs. So it's how recent is the information that you're
Yeah.
loading. So it's very important to prioritize what is going to be your blogging strategy for this new change.
Yeah. And also to make sure that if you have old blogs that are still very pertinent to what you're doing, that you're repurposing them, that you're bringing them forward, that you're reworking them or making them again. Or so definitely
Oh yeah.
making sure you're keeping your blogs refreshed and
Yeah,
new.
that's definitely, a key aspect to get them
Yeah.
updated.
What about for specific to banks and credit unions? How do you take that
Yeah, so
information
I
and
was
apply it
thinking,
for our
like, going back
clients?
to our clients, how could we adapt some of this strategy into financial institutions? And really, for credit unions, especially in community banks, you're so local, you're trying to compete with these big players. AI is, how can this AI strategy make it very easy for you to outplay them? And I was thinking about, like, what if we were to focus on the local events and the volunteer opportunities and the impact that you've made locally? And you probably write press releases and talk about it in your annual report. But have you really prioritized putting that content in a blog post and just publishing it on
Hmm.
a regular basis? Like,
Yeah.
this is what we do every year and just making it available. The
Yeah.
other thing I was thinking about is featuring your key differentiations on your product offering, right? Like if there's certain offers that you're running, if your especially with lending, if you have local like in-house lending, things like that, that you want AI to pull out when
Yeah.
someone's asking about my benefit of banking with this credit union, what is it? You want to be able to give a direct answer to that.
Yeah, and
Um,
also you remembering that blogs are dated. So I think some of that really helps to emphasize the recency of some of that
yeah.
content to those language learning models. Whereas, product and service page content, it does have, updated content and it will know when content has been updated, but blogs are dated and like, oh, this just happened. It's like almost like a piece of news to that content. So that could
Yeah.
make a difference
And we
and why
talked
it's being
about, yeah.
emphasized.
That's very true. And we talked about in our webinar that we did end of Q4 of last year, we really did talk about uh credit unions and banks using they have so much data, right? Like through
Hmm.
surveys, through just all these different platforms, like where you're consolidating all this data. How can you use some of those data points to come up with articles directly from your own hub? And one of the other things that they had mentioned on here was that on AI search, data and stats rank really well.
Yeah.
So maybe starting to think about, okay, if I don't do a survey already, let me find out what are the major goals of my members and
Yeah.
sharing that information
On a
and building
blog.
a community around it that, hey, you're not in this alone.
Yeah.
You have other people dealing with the same exact problem, and this is what our credit union and bank is doing to solve this problem. So that in
Absolutely.
itself could be a great content strategy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. So it definitely sounds like blogs are not dead in the age of AI. And even though you can definitely write a lot of content with AI and with ChatGPT and all of those other language learning models out there, it sounds like you're going to have to also create content on your website that can be crawled and found by those language learning models in order to make sure that your information is getting in front of people as they're doing searches. So appreciate you sharing that. If you're interested in learning more about marketing for your credit union or community bank, please visit us at figrow.com. We've got lots of other great podcasts, blogs, case studies. So come and check us out and get on our mailing list. Otherwise, let's just all get out there and make it happen.